Alright, y'all, welcome to Firecracker 400 Practice 2. This time we're under the lights at Daytona International Speedway. Of course, yesterday's practice session was under the afternoon where the reigning Firecracker champion, Matthew Hill, got the fastest time on the board. So, of course, similar to our previous session, this will be 30 minutes long. How long should the speedway make both turns, all four turns today? I think 31 degrees. And as for the weather, it's a little cooler, 87 degrees Fahrenheit, of course, just remember the light. It's still rather hot, especially coming out for, being under cool weather. It's under humidity for you. And the wind is slightly less south, now to the southwest, 7 miles, which is now 7 miles per hour to the south. Let's start. So also, here's the remaining Firecracker schedule. So of course, yesterday we had our first practice session. Everyone's name's correct. Okay, as I was saying, yesterday's practice session was yesterday, and then second and the last practice session right now. Tomorrow night will be the Weather Tech Duels, both duel number 1 and duel number 2 at 8 o'clock p.m. Standard Time. Then we'll have more activity until Wednesday, July 1st for the Fast 6. And of course, the Fast 6 is going to be the top 3 finishers of each duel race moving on to that. The 10 for the Firecracker pole, while the rules will lock in rows 4 on down. While the Fast 6 locks in rows 1 to 3. And of course, Saturday on July 4th, America's 250th birthday, is the running of the 2026 running of the summer's biggest race, the Firecracker 400. So watch the so a lot of stuff to look forward to here in Firecracker Week. If I can get NR ready to go. There we go. Hey, for once NR didn't crash when I tried. Oh, is it gonna crash again? It's not responding. It's not responding. What is wrong with this? It's not responding. Yeah, it crashed. I jinxed it. This is why OBS is kind of annoying to use. Not OBS, but NR is kind of annoying to use sometimes when I'm streaming, because even just one mouse click away from NR it just goes haywire. Oh, I can't close this. What is wrong with this picture? I can't even, like... Oh man, this is... Sorry about this. It's not as bad as previous technical issues. Let me put this on here, because my... What is going on? I can't even force close it. Let's see if I can do a task manager here. Oh, it's just gonna appear on the other screen. Oh, come on. Don't do this to me. Oh, great. Why can't I not close you? Oh my, this is not good. I'm gonna have to like pause the stream because I can't do anything. Oh my god, come on NR. Don't do this to me. This is not right. Yeah, I don't know what's up with my technical issues this week. We had issues yesterday which delayed it, and now this is being delayed as well. Alright, I wonder if that would work. Yeah, here we go. Got it, okay. Now I can force close NR. And try again. That was very bizarre. There we go. So what I had to do was like move it to a different desktop. So I can get it to work, but now it seems to be working. If I can hopefully load. Come on. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. There we go. Get rid of this. And put that back in. Hey, there we go. Right, is it working? Oh my god, what is this? What is wrong with this? It's doing it again. Yeah, it's doing it again. Damn. Sorry. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to cut this on the actual like thing because this is the second time now. Come on, game, don't do this to me. I don't understand why it's just not working. Okay, now I know how to. At least now I know how to isolate it. All right, third time's the charm. Fingers crossed, please. Maybe not that. Yeah, I gotta like censor this. Not censor it, but cut this out when we when it's time to when the stream like finishes uploading. I don't get it. Why is this happening? All right. Switch. Don't crash. Do not crash. There we go. Finally, we got it. There you go. I knew you could do it, NR. Alright. So just like almost like last time, after 5 trillion technical problems, we are finally underway here in practice number 2, which will be, of course, 30 minutes long, as previously mentioned. So let's get the first driver out as I lower my headset volume. Hope I'm not too loud, because I did go back to the thing yesterday and it was a little too loud. Hopefully the audio should be better. But yeah, the first car out is Alexander Rowe in the 41. Of course, I mentioned Matthew Hill, the fastest driver from yesterday, being a Ford. In fact, Ford and Toyota dominated most of the top 10 speeds yesterday. But now of tonight's practice conditions being a lot closer to what we have during the actual race, we're gonna have to wait. We're gonna see if there's gonna be any difference, any disparities between who has the best nighttime car, I should say, and the best daytime car. So let's Caleb Rochard, our time car there. Nadu Gillespie, Brendan Beal, Wyatt Walker, Matthew Burnett, Eric Monaco, and others all coming out. So a lot of cars on pit road. And also, I did send those on track and also on pit road screenshots, which look really cool. I did the on pit road screenshots because that's the closest thing I can get to. You know how they have the 500, they get to right around like Roberto counters right now, like there. The driver sits next to the car, gets a picture. That's the closest I can do in NR. I could like I could drive like every car over there and do it, but that'll just take way too long. So the first couple lap times are in, but of course everyone's still warming up their cars. We're probably going to see drivers in packs very shortly here. Looks like Alexander Rowe so far is the fastest lap, first one above a minute, but as I said, there's still plenty of time in the session. It's not worth mentioning. So we got more drivers coming out. Jackson Burgum, that's Joe T. Coming out the other Bass Pro Shops car. Again, at least it's pretty easy to not confuse these two cars. That's Dylan Matthews at the 11. I think just about everyone is on track or about ready to come on track. See Anthony Hernandez. So I think Anthony Hernandez is on pit road. Yeah, no, he's just coming out. Okay. Bradley Reeb so far the fastest time in the 9 car, 47.153. For the driver of the Valvoline Dodge. Of course, one of only 4 Dodges. Like there you see half your, like right here is half your Dodges in the entire field. Of course, with this mod, mostly relying on pre-made schemes from the Real Life Cup Series, Dodge was not racing in NASCAR during the Gen 6 era, but that might change soon with the rumors of Dodge mention coming back. But anyways, because Dodge did not really race in the next gen in the Gen 6 era, every Dodge driver is rely on custom and fantasy schemes. So that's why there's very few Dodges in comparison to what we had in the old Palm Summer League. Already 3 wide into turn number 1. That's Jason Albert and Jason Albert on the inside, Pepto Man on the outside, and Ronald Kennington being split in the middle. With Frey into 22 helping out the 84 there. We saw a decently big pack during yesterday's practice session. But imagine it'll continue here, because again, of course, the conditions of this particular practice session are different than what they're yesterday. Also, speaking of yesterday, I should mention, towards the end of yesterday's practice, Matthew Burnett, who I cut to earlier, as well as the 62 of Liam Martin AC, hopefully I said that name right this time around, got into an incident, got into a small crash right around in the tri-oval grass. Just cut to the 19. Both cars got minor damage. However, neither driver will go to a backup. So neither Burnett or Martinski will go to a backup for the Firecracker 400. So good news there. So unlike last year, no drivers have, at least so far, no drivers have to go to any backups. Of course, depending on what happens in this practice session and during tomorrow's duels. You see Wyatt Walker coming on pit road as the 95 of JNF is now the fastest driver on the board. Brendan Beal now going 3 wide into turn number 1, putting Burnett to the outside. Or forcing Burnett to the outside, I should say. So the 95 is currently the fastest, of course. Once again, reaffirming, of course, the Toyota, as I mentioned. Toyota and Ford have been the 2 dominant manufacturers so far in Firecracker Week, while the 24 of Jackson Burgham's currently the second fastest, I should say. Philip Torres, the Dodge, is currently 3rd fastest. Let's see if he's working with anyone right here. He is, next to the other Dodge, Bradley Ream, these 2 have been kind of close together so far during this session. The 19 of Burnett, 4th fastest, while the 41 of Alexander Rowe rounds off the rest of the top 5. Everyone has always put in 1 lap so far. Owen Miles currently has the slowest time, but he's all by himself in the 96. Nick Sant, the 2023 Firecracker winner, is currently 35th. Alex Mullen, 34th. Cass Stephens, 33rd. Karsh currently 32nd. Gillespie is currently 31st in the 20. So it's kind of a mix of both so far when it comes to... So far up front, it's kind of a mix of manufacturers. Of course, the 95 is a Toyota here. Roberto Crown on pit road there. The 95 is a Toyota. The 9 is a Dodge. Chevy for the 24. Dodge for the 46. Burnett's a Toyota. Beal is a Ford. Yo 8's a Chevy. Bray is a Ford. And Pennington's a Ford. So mostly Fords, but we're starting to see more Chevys. And we also do have a Chevy and Dodge up here as well. Speaking of a Chevy, Jackson Burkham now on top of the board as we got a pack forming here. With some of the drivers towards the top and also towards the bottom of the board. I mentioned Carson and Riley Spurley are towards the bottom of the board as things stand right now. Trying to work together to get some better lap times in. But currently, Jackson Burkham has a time of 45.864. Only time in the 45-second column. Probably should switch camera angles here because I've been stuck in that one camera angle the entire time, but it's admittedly definitely kind of weird to, you know, whenever I record races, I have to kind of constantly, you have like 1 or 2 fingers on like the camera keys, like change the camera button is C, and I constantly have to, you know, do that, press B to change the drivers. Watch out, Wyatt Rocker. Woo. Yeah, during these practice sessions, it gets really, really dicey with how people come out of pit road, and also in the pit road in certain cases, like we saw yesterday. Let's go on board with someone. Let's go on board with any additional packs. No, that's the only pack we have so far, like big pack so far. Let's go on board with the fastest driver right now, Jackson Burkham. To see again how much faster these Cup cars are compared to the old Golf Summer Series and Palm Summer League cars we've had in the Firecracker in years past. So this course being the Cup Physics, as I mentioned yesterday. This race will go by. Well, we're gonna have 2 more additional laps compared to last year, but expect a lot of chaos. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of chaos with how fast these cars go compared to the cars we've had in the Firecracker in years past. So one driver down pit road, that is that's Brad Reem. Also, there's another driver in front of him too. That's Brendan Beal as well, the former Rail fan teammates right there. 3 wide here, back to this pack again. 3 wide into turn number 3. Nathan Kidd forcing the issue, forcing Bergam to the middle. And the 43 of Karsh up there as well. So that's a lot of iconic numbers here in NASCAR, racing in the NASCAR side of things. If I can switch the camera angle properly, there we go. 43, 24, 3, and 2, all iconic numbers in NASCAR all in this pack, which is pretty cool for sure. Trying to stop many more packs. I know it's so decently early in, but 20 minutes remaining. Yesterday's session definitely had a lot more cars getting in the packs early. Got 2 of the street cars here. And I think there's probably a good view on just how tall these. Another thing also that's hard to not notice are these giant spoilers on these cars. These giant super speeder spoilers like we saw in the Cup cars around the late Gen 6 era. And if you've watched any of those races during the 6 years, you just know not only how fast these cars won at these super speedways, but also just the huge runs these cars get, especially going in these corners. The 2 corners to watch for in the race, in my eyes, is the inside and the outside. I'd say the outside definitely gets better if you're all grouped up together in the outside lane, like Nick Sand here, unlike Nick Sand here. If Nick Sand had more help, the outside could get huge runs in the corners, but the inside is almost certainly the place to be, especially off turn number 4 there. The huge runs the inside gets have been literal decider factors in Firecrackers in years past, including our closest finish on the channel, the 2024 edition of this race, where Jordan Flores beat Random J by just 1/1000 of a second. And it was most because Flores was able to maintain was able to get that strong run into off turn number 4 on the outside, on an inside lane. So far, the fastest times. So far, the board remaining largely the same as things stand now. Bergam's still the fastest. JNF's the second fastest. Brad Reem third. Look at some of the drivers towards the bottom of the list as things stand now. Gillespie in the 20s currently. Slowest car. Nick Sant, the 2021 winners I mentioned. 2023 winners, I should say. Martinesky, 34th. Ryan Wilson, 33rd. Tim Simmons, 32nd. Nixon now up to 32nd, as I assume to say that. Wyatt Rocker, 31st, and Owen Miles now 30th. So some big names back there so far struggling to find speed. And you saw that this group of drivers are still really the only pack so far. Ryan Wilson, I mentioned, is one of the smaller ones, but now he's the lead driver of this pack, being helped by JNF, the second fastest as things currently stand. So that actually can help Ryan Wilson move up the board as this session continues to go on. Surprised Jackson Bergam's kind of laying back a little bit here. I mean, 197, he's not really in the draft at all. Like, these drivers in this pack are 197. He was going 197 in that corner there. He may have some draft from this pack, but Bergam definitely won the watch when it comes to cars so far this week. Another driver I say to watch out for is the 43 of Karsh. Only one of the handful of Dodges. He's currently on pit road. There he is. I'm gonna pull up the results from yesterday so I can. Probably should also have that pulled up. Here we go. Karsh was how fast was he? During yesterday's. It's really small. Let me go to the other. 29th. Okay, there we go. There we go. 29th, yes, fastest yesterday. Now, trying to find the top 5 from yesterday, since I have yesterday's times pulled up. Matthew Hill, of course, was the fastest yesterday. Is currently 26 right now. Dylan Matthews, right behind him, was second fastest. Matthews is currently 32nd. Gillespie, I mentioned, currently still has the slowest time thus far. Brendan Beal, he was up in the board earlier, but he's now down to 13th. Watch out, jeez. Again, these drivers coming out of pit road gets really dicey. Beal's currently 13th after having the 4th fastest time yesterday. Ryan Wilson rising up to the ranks as he was 5th yesterday. Is now currently 18th, fittingly in that Kyle Busch tribute car. So far there doesn't seem to be any consistency when it comes to drivers who did well during yesterday's session in the daytime versus now under the lights. Only one I feel like that so far it seems like the only driver that even is like if you go down the list in the top 10, Nick Sand, Owen Miles and Nick Sand are both struggling for speed as things stand now. 23rd for Miles, 22nd for Nick Sand. Pepto Man was up, also another driver up in the board earlier, but he's down to 21st. Alexander Rowe, and I feel like actually no, my bad. The only 2 drivers now, which now leads me to this point. The only 2 drivers from yesterday's top 10 are actually still doing well, if not better here, is Alexander Rowe had the 9th fastest time yesterday, and Matthew Burnett, who had the 10th fastest time yesterday, now currently 6th. So these 2 might be ones to watch throughout the rest of Firecracker week. But of course, that's very dependent on where they're going to be, where they're going to start at the duels. Of course, the duel lineups are randomized, and looking at the lineups for both duels, Rowe will be participating in duel number 1, while Burnett's going to be in duel number 2. I probably can't. I was going to try clicking that message, but I know if I click anything else, NR is going to spaz out. Spaz about the 08. Yeah, I was surprised. Yeah, I tried to communicate with the person at the 08 to find an alternate scheme because they wanted the candy bar M&M's car, but that's one of the hardest paint schemes. If I were to paint schemes, that's a hard one to paint, and I couldn't even find a base of it. So this is the next best thing I can get. Alright, so let's go on board for another driver here. Let's do the bumper cameras. This is still the only pack so far tonight. It's just these group of drivers. We haven't really seen another pack yet. Well, this is kind of a pack, but not really. Let's go on board with... Oh, they're 3 wide there. Okay, here's a pack forming. So Gutierrez, currently 32nd fastest when the driver's still struggling to find times. Just for reference, yesterday Gutierrez, during yesterday's practice session, was also 28th. So Gutierrez is definitely struggling to find speed. But I still want to count him out. I don't want to count anyone out of this race still. It's because, of course, Super Speedway, a lot of drivers, even drivers that struggle with speed, still have good shots to win. Of course, Gutierrez is a former Super Speedway winner on the channel, winning the summer kickoff in the Yellow Palm Summer League back in 2024. See Joe T coming out of pit road. We'll see if Joe T can actually merge onto the track without any sort of issues here. No one's even behind him. Oh, okay, maybe. Okay, they're all moving up to the outside. All right, all good there. But it's still really dicey when these drivers come out of pit road. So Tim Simmons also coming out. Pepto Man down pit road. Better view of the 08 car. 3 wide here off Tri-Oval. Several big names here. A lot of big names in this. In this group here, got 2 former summer champions there, in Hubert and Hernandez, Caleb, as well as veterans Caleb Rose and Alex Mullen. Watch out, Mullen. Him and Tim Simmons nearly touched there. Meanwhile, these 4 drivers still have been in this pack for most of the session. And speaking of for most of the session, Burgum still remains the fastest driver in that 24 car. So the only driver in this entire session so far to even get a time above 45 seconds. And so far, we still have 11 minutes left. The times seem to be slower compared to what they were yesterday. All the times from first all the way down to 20th, so over half the field, we're in the 44-second category, but now the only driver even in the 45-second category is Bergam. So I gotta wonder if so that's definitely one big disparity between both the nighttime and the daytime. Of course, the daytime, during the nighttime the track is a lot cooler than it is in the day. So we're gonna see. So that's definitely something. So it's definitely very interesting to see just the disparities between both yesterday's session and today so far. But of course, there's still 10 minutes left in this session. Still plenty of time. Still a decent amount of time for these drivers to get a good lap in and find some speed before the duels tomorrow night. Which the duels, of course, will be in the day. Same thing with the Fast 6. The only other nighttime activity during Firecracker Week will be the Firecracker 400 itself this coming Saturday, July 4th. Let's go on board for another driver. Let's go on board with, I'll just finally pick. So this pack's a little bit smaller now. They're now coming up on Tim Simmons in the 97. Of course, SVG in the 97 car in today's Cup Sonoma Race 1 today. Tim Simmons will be looking for that luck also in this race as well next weekend. But looks like no one's going to work with Simmons because the only other Ford even in this pack is Ronald. Oh no, it's two. There's other Fords. I lied. Cass Stevens and Kennington. But right now, Jackson Bergam is on pit road, but now going back onto the track. Still the fastest driver with 8 minutes remaining. Still the only driver in the 45-second category. See other drivers who were struggling to find speed early. I didn't mean to go to that camera angle. Other drivers who were struggling to find speed earlier. Alex Bowen, Brian Rodriguez in the 23, Nathan Kidd now inside this top 10. Drivers back towards the basement, I should say, who were Tyler I didn't mean that in a derogatory way, but Tyler Carroll in the 62, Dylan Matthews in the 11, Gutierrez in the 52, Roberto Crown in the 30, in the 88, I should say, Kennington in the 36, despite being in that pack I saw earlier, Jason Alper in the 84, and Frey in the 22. Now I think it's partly because we still haven't seen like a large pack, even still with 8 minutes remaining in this session. Let's go on board one more time. I know people are on board, but... Now, one thing I'll definitely admit about these giant spoilers, they definitely do a good job of looking like the ones who use a coverage. But just like the ones used in real life, yeah, you're going to see a color spoiler off shore with the wicker barrel there and the little bunny ears into the spoiler. But I've always kind of liked the look at these spoilers when they ran them in real life. Anyways, still not much new with the practice times, with times on the board. Still, Jackson Bergam with the fastest time, so still the only driver in the 45-second bracket. Well, Gutierrez now currently the slowest. You see the 16 of Viper Gaming down pit road. Is it Viper Racing? Viper Gaming, Viper Racing. Well, I don't know, but still. Oh, it's Viper. Yeah, it's Viper Gaming. So I had the right name there. Oh well. I don't know how I got that wrong, but. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but anyways, because I'll admit I did record. I recorded most of the race already, so because it's definitely going to take much longer for me to make this race compared to previous years because I'm brand new and everything. So yeah. Anyways, back to the main board. 5 minutes remaining left in this practice session. Still, basically no change in the leaderboard. I thought there'd be at least more changes, but I would imagine, like we saw a little bit yesterday, we saw a number of drivers come down pit road before the end of yesterday's session, do some last-minute changes to their cars to see if they can get a faster lap. But it seems like no one's really doing that. Only 2 cars even down pit road at this moment is Tim Simmons and Joe T. Well, I say that Bradley Reams was now coming out of pit road. Well, at least the bright side in this practice session, so far, no major incidents. And I guess that's one particular. I guess that might be one reason why everyone's not going in a big pack. Yeah, there's not many big packs at all. There's like a handful of like smaller packs everyone's in right now. So you see Simmons coming back on pit road. Hopefully no one has any issues here. Yeah, no, they're all slowing down. Or are they? No, they're not. Okay. See, that's a good pit exit there. That's a good way to go back onto the track. And now I say that, here we got some changes in the board. Not only do we have 2 other drivers in the 45-second column, we now have a new fastest driver, Matthew Burnett, 45.827. That moves Burkham down to second. Sterling Crown nearly touched there, but Burkham now down to second. Ronald Kennington now third on the board. So we actually finally got some change when it comes to speeds, when it seemed like everyone's trying to be conservative with their cars, but looks like we do have some changes when it comes to when it comes to the board. So that's definitely somewhat exciting. That's definitely exciting there for sure. As you see Kennington down for changing his tires. So Matthew Burnett now the fastest driver. Of course, he has a fellow Toyota in the 95 of JNF, who's 4th fastest on the board, I should add as well. So two potential drivers that could work very well together during Sunday's race, and even during the duel is tomorrow night. So 2 minutes, so less than 3 minutes remaining in this practice session. Now we're starting to see some more packs, even though they're still not admittedly that large. These 4 drivers have been close together for basically the entire session. This pack here was a lot larger before. We had more drivers in it, but a lot of drivers have since gone their separate ways. Yeah, still not very many big packs, which is a little surprising to me. Go on board. I know I keep going on board, but let's go on board with... Oh, Brown had the lift, watch out! Oh man, Eric Monaco did not pick a good place to merge there. Well, that slowed any momentum, and you saw they had to lift. Even going into the turn, Nick Sant there tried to move down in front of Rally Spurl, but didn't have enough room. We saw even going into turn number 1, they had to lift. We've seen some drivers in past Firecrackers going into the corners lift, even though, of course, Daytona is famous for its, or infamous, the way, depending on how you look at it, for its full throttle nature. But you saw there they had to lift, so that could potentially be an issue for some, especially like it's fine. Like you saw when Crown lifted, and stable as well. You saw when these two lifted, like, okay, for a car pack like this, it's not that big of a deal. But if you're in a larger pack, like maybe say a 10 car pack, or even yeah, 10 car pack, let alone a large pack like we are going to see in the race inevitably, that could cause some issues, especially when things start to get down to the wire on Saturday night. Anyways, 40 seconds remain in this final Firecracker 400 practice session. Of course, cars will be on track during tomorrow's duel races, and and of course, the top 3 finishers again of each duel. We'll move on to the Fast 6, and that will set the Fast 6 will set rows 1 to 3, while the duels tomorrow will set rows 4 to 6. Oh, rows 4, not 4 to 6, 4 onwards, I should say. So, wrapping up our the final closing seconds of this Firecracker session is going to be the Floridians, who are going to sweep both practice sessions. Matthew Hill, it's going to be both Matthews from Florida, I should say, sweeping the practice sessions. Yesterday was Matthew Hill having the fastest time during that practice session. Now, tonight, Matthew Burnett gets the fastest time of this practice session with a 45.827 time. One of only 3 drivers to even get a time in the 45-second column. So that's free big shout out to Matthew Burnett. Of course, his birthday was yesterday, so I guess this does make a really cool, I guess, little late birthday present for Matthew Burnett, getting the fastest time here in December's biggest race, second and final practice session. So anyways, going to full results here, of course, Matthew Burnett fastest, of course, being a Toyota, once again showing that Toyota is one of the manufacturers to keep an eye on as the Firecracker Week goes on. Jackson Burgum, second fastest time, while Ronald Kennington in third gets a time of 45.914. And those 3 drivers, Burnett, Burgum, and Kennington, are the only 3 drivers in this session to even get a time in the 45-second column, while everyone else gets 46 seconds or later, which again contrasts to yesterday. If you go back to yesterday's session, drivers first to 20th on the board had times in the 44-second column, but now only three drivers again only get times in the 45-second column, with no one getting a time in the 44-second column. It's partly because we didn't really see that many big packs in this practice session, which I still find really shocking, considering, of course, the nature of Daytona and these super speedway races. But going on through the list here, JNF 4th fastest, the 9 of Bradley Ream 5th fastest, Alexander Rose 6th, Time Car 7th fastest, Jason Albert 8th fastest, good rebound for him. Philip Torres 9th, and Alex Mullen in the 42 rounds off for the rest of the top 10. Brian Rodriguez 11th, Nathan Kidd 12th, Nadu Gillespie 13th, Riley Spurley 14th, Alex Cass Stevens 15th, Caleb Rose 16th, Nick Sant 17th, Brendan Beal gets 18th, Joe T 19th for the 56, and Wyatt Rocker rounds off the rest of the top 20. So 21st, Tim Simmons is in the 97 will be in 21st, followed by Roberto Crown, Tyler Carroll, Ryan Wilson, Matthew Hubert, Eric Monaco, Mr. Pepto Man, Nathan Stapleton, Natalie, I keep mispronouncing that name, god damn it, Nia Martineski gets 29th from Matthew Hill, the defending Firecracker winner, and of course, the driver fastest during yesterday's session will be 30th fastest, so definitely a big fall off there for the reigning Firecracker winner. Both Firecracker winners that will be in this week's Firecracker festivities get times below the top 15. Didn't mean to do that. And as for finally everybody else, Anthony Hernandez 31st fastest, Miles 32nd, Viper gets 33rd, Frey gets 34th, Dylan Matthews 35th, while Gutierrez Jose Angel Gutierrez gets the slowest time, 46.456. Of course, all these practice sessions will be posted on the Discord, so definitely join that. I linked it into the chat this time around. And of course, Firecracker will continue on tomorrow night with the WeatherTech duels. Both duels 1 and duel number 2 will be live streamed on this channel at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, barring hopefully any technical delays. That'll be the last thing live stream on this channel for Firecracker Week. Although, if I do have time, keyword if I do have time, I'll do a pre-race and maybe even post-race stream, like maybe hanging out, talking with some of the drivers and whatnot. So That's only an if I have time for that. But for now, the WeatherTech duels are the last scheduled live stream for the Firecracker Week this weekend. While both Wednesday's Fast 6 and, of course, the main Firecracker 400 will be pre-recorded. The Fast 6 will be on Wednesday, July 1st at 8 o'clock p.m. Standard Time. Once again, to reiterate, the top 3 finishers of each duel, duel number 1 and duel number 2, will participate in the Fast 6, as rows 1 to 3 will be set then. And of course, Saturday, July 4th, will be the 2026 edition of the summer's biggest race, the Firecracker 400. That's now 44 laps long, and that'll be on this channel 7:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, barring any delays. But anyways, y'all, as always, thank you guys for watching the stream. Hope you guys found this enjoyable. And I'll see y'all tomorrow night for WeatherTech Duels 1 and 2.